Hello there everyone, I'm Scotch182 and welcome to the Warriors Geeky News for the 21st of the 3rd, 2013. In today's installment of the Warriors Geeky News, we're going to be talking about 6 stories by the looks of it. We're going to be talking about the Simcity offline feature, Cyberpunk multiplayer, redesigned for modern audiences, Kick-Ass 2 trailer, the EA CEO Joe Riccatello resigns, and also the new Xbox has a new feature. Always online, always connected. Sorry, always on, always connected. My apologies, I misspoke there. But yeah, this is a little something I want to talk about. So we'll go through each story and talk about it, and then if you want to read more about the stories, they will be in the link in the description. And let me know what your thoughts are on some of the stories we're going to be talking about. So firstly, let's talk about the Simcity debacle. Now, I'm not a big Simcity gamer. Most of my information comes from videos and Let's Plays that I've watched done by TollBiscuit and some other members of the TGS podcast and Machinima and a whole other bitchaball boo things. But yeah, I haven't played the new Simcity and I really have no intention to play it. But for those who don't know, the new Simcity has a always online mentality, and the publisher and developer have came out and said that it always had to be online to play it, and it was designed from that point of view. Now they have come out recently and stated that yeah, we fucked up a little bit because a modder recently went into the JavaScript of the game, which is very simple to do if you know what you're doing, and literally took out 2 lines from the modified or removed 2 lines of JavaScript, which literally is just highlight, delete, or highlight and edit. It even shows you how to do it, and basically it allows you to enter the debug mode, which basically is a developer tool. So basically what that does is it allows you to be offline, and also basically removes most of the boundary limits, which in Simcity has been a major complaint about it. Now Simcity has been getting praised as a great game, it's just the always online mentality that have got people a little fucked up. The developer and publisher have came out, as I said, and apologised and says, yeah, we fucking lied. But that doesn't take away the fact that they lied. Now, EA especially, was not surprised about this when I heard about this, that they had done something like this. Like, the always online thing is something that they've been trying to push, and it is just another form of DRM, which I don't like. I don't agree with DRMs, but I do see why developers and publishers put DRMs in, because it's kind of like, if I created something, I'd want to protect it, but it's just most of these, like EA especially, have gone the route of basically punishing everyone instead of punishing those that want to buy the game. And really they've shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of the stuff that they've said about this. And in my opinion, I really don't think a single player game, especially, like Simcity is primarily a single player game, but there is a multiplayer feature to it, and this was pushed on it. But all the developer really needed to do was create a single player offline mode, and then it would have saved them a whole lot of fucking hassle. But I can imagine it was mostly EA's idea to do, keep it always online. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. As I said, I don't know that much about it, but it is something that I think does deserve discussion. It's been talked about for ages, and it is an article that is dying. The article that I will link you to is on Reddit. It basically, it's just the modder showing you how to basically play the game offline, which is fantastic. I might pick up Simcity. I've been watching a lot of Let's Plays, but until a proper offline mode is put into it, I'm not going to pick it up, because I'm not going to pay £60 or £40 for I think that. And there is also some other issues with like the pre-order bonuses that aren't just cosmetic, which in my opinion should be what pre-order bonuses are. Pre-order bonuses should be cosmetic. That's it. I don't mind pre-order bonuses like that, but a lot of the pre-order bonuses and the deluxe edition highlights that they're going to be basically microtransaction in their ass out of this game, so you can buy like a new building or something. And the game is reportedly to be really good, just not that good. So yeah, that's all I really want to talk about that. So we'll move on to the next article, which is the Cyberpunk multiplayer news. One of the developers from CD Projekt Red came out in an article on PC Gamer and talked about that possibly that they want to introduce a multiplayer mode into Cyberpunk 2077, their new title that they're working on alongside with creator based on the pen and paper Cyberpunk 2020 game, which is supposedly going to be coming out sometime in 2015, 2014. They are nowhere near completing, so don't worry about that. It won't be coming out. Basically, it will come out when it's ready, they've stated, which I love them for that. But this kind of worried me at first, but then I had a wee quick read of the article, and the Cyberpunk will have multiplayer, but it isn't going to be. It's going to be something that I think should be fine with most RPGs if they try and implement a multiplayer. It's going to be completely separate from the main game, which is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. They're going to be making it completely separate from the main game. Now they haven't specified exactly what it is. They might have by the time I've got this information. It's a wee bit, might be a little out of date. I do apologise for that. But I love this idea. I'm not going to lie. CD Projekt Red are becoming my favourite developer of all because they know what gamers want and they are gamers themselves, and I love that about them. They're not going to force the multiplayer down your throat. It's completely optional, which is what multiplayer always should be. There's also some rumor that possibly Cyberpunk's going to be coming out in next generation consoles. I highly doubt it will come out at the same time as the PC version, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I like the idea of this. It basically what it looks like that they're maybe doing some kind of cooperative mode where basically you can invite your friend in and do a couple of co-op missions together in the world of Night City. Each one's a different class and all that. That's the kind of thing I like the sound of, which I think could be absolutely fantastic in the game. And if it's done properly, I'll definitely play with a couple of clan members. I can already tell you I'm going to be playing this game the hell. That made no sense. I'm going to be playing the shit out of this fucking game, I can guarantee it. If I can in the future, I'm hoping to do a let's play, but that's way off in the future. But I'm really excited for the game, and the multiplayer sounds like it could be interesting, and of course it's going to be completely separate from the main game, which is fan-fucking-tastic, because I hate it when developers force a multiplayer on it, and the best example I can give is Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 is the best example I can give of how not to do a multiplayer mode in an RPG. It's basically a shit-ass horde mode, which admittedly is fun for a while, and I know I'm beating Mass Effect 3 to death, like dead. I'm not even beating it with a dead horse. I'm beating it with another. I'm beating Mass Effect 3 while like 20 dead horse corpses are on it, and I'm beating it even more with a dead fucking tiger or something. But it's the best example of how not to do it. The multiplayer should have been completely optional and should not have been forced down our throats. Mass Effect 3 basically was not optional. If you wanted to get the best ending in the game, you had to play the shit ass multiplayer. And I really hope that developers take this to light from CD Projekt Red, that multiplayer should be optional, and it should also be an incentive for you to play a little bit. Give it a little try. I'll try any multiplayer mode out in a game, but never will I stick to it, because I've played every multiplayer mode of a game that I own. I've played the Halo multiplayer, I've played the Gears multiplayer, I've played the Red Dead Redemption multiplayer, I played the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and I couldn't get into it. But this multiplayer, in my opinion, sounds awesome. I've even played fucking Guild Wars 2, and I've not even played that in weeks. But this sounds fantastic with the idea of how they're going to introduce the multiplayer. Their main focus, of course, is the single player. They're going to perfect that first, and then get the multiplayer done. So I like that. I really do. And CD Projekt Red, you get major praise from me, because you are... In fact, I hate to say it, I think they are my favourite developer now, because they are awesome. And I would kill to basically go and interview them or talk to them about anything, but never going to happen. I'm not that big. But yeah, awesome Cyberpunk news. Definitely go check out the article and have a proper read of it. Now the next article the topic I'm going to talk about has a real good thing about the article, and it's about redesigning for modern audiences. The developers for the new Thief game, which is a series of games I've been meaning to play, I just never get around to yet, are supposedly going to be redesigning the main character, Garrett, I believe is how you pronounce his name, and trying to make him more appealing to a modern audience, which is what happens, unfortunately. The best example I can actually give for a game that done that perfectly is Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is the best example I can give. I might pick this game up if it looks interesting, and I'm not gonna lie, it does look kind of interesting, but it's in the early stages. But Tomb Raider, this game here, Tomb Raider, is a reboot, but also a slight redesign to the character of Lara. She's not as, how do you say this, she's not as big, she doesn't have the massive tits anymore, which I love, by the way. She looks human, which I like. No offense to the last Lara Croft had tits she were like, are those fucking humanly possible? Basically, they were like fucking Jessica Rabbit tits. Oh, who's to get that reference? But it does bring up an interesting topic, like, do classic characters from the early era of gaming, like, the Thief franchise isn't too far back, it's a couple of years, I think, maybe 10 or so years, I think. It's a series of games I've never played, I do intend to pick up eventually, but it's a game that I think was only on PC, but they want to bring it onto the console market and redesigning it for the console market, because, let's face it, console gaming is not as powerful as PC gaming, and they want to make sure that this Thief game is successful enough to make a franchise again of it. And as I say, it's Tomb Raider, in my opinion, is the best example I can give to them if they want to make the Thief franchise there, because the character of Garrett isn't a badass. He's a stealthy. He's an assassin. He's best example. He's kind of like Splinter Cell, only actually stealthy. But I hope that they take a good example from these guys from Crystal Dynamics. They redesigned Lara's character and her origin stories, and redesigned the whole game near enough to make it not only a great game, but also more appealing to certain audiences. Like, let's face it, like this character, I'm going to be honest, I prefer this Lara over the old one. But I really hope that they don't do it the wrong way, which if you're going to redesign for a more modern audience, which unfortunately is what happens these days, you're going to have to be very, very cautious with it, because this can fuck up big time if they do it wrong. It's just, I really do hope that they don't do this. This Thief game does sound interesting. I probably will pick it up when it comes out eventually. But I like the idea of maybe introducing to make it a bit more modern, which is fine. But I hope they try and keep the as is. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you can't change him. You can't change him. He's such a classic character." And admittedly, I never heard of him until last year. So I know fanboys are gonna go ape shit, but fuck it. You deal with it, okay? It's gonna happen. He needs redesigned. Fair enough. So we'll move on to the next one, which is the Kick-Ass 2 trailer. Which I'm gonna be honest. I haven't read Kick-Ass. I haven't read the graphic novel. I have seen the first movie. And I liked it. I liked the first movie. I thought it was really, really good. I would recommend it. It's actually a really good comic book movie. I've not read the source material. I haven't had the chance to pick up the end. I've not read any of the Hit Girl stuff or anything. But I had a wee watch of the Kick-Ass 2 trailer, and I'm going to be honest, I'm fucking seeing this film. It looks fantastic from the trailer alone. The returning cast, of course, the characters have developed, they've aged and matured. I like that. It looks funny, and basically the thing that kind of sold me on it is Jim Carrey's in it. And I'm a big Jim Carrey fan. I love his older works, like Mask, Ace Ventura. There hasn't been a lot of Jim Carrey films I haven't liked, except for the obvious ones. And by the way, I kind of like number 23, kill me if you want. But he's playing, I think it's like Colonel Stars and Stripes, I think. And he looks funny. I must admit, I cracked up a few times watching this trailer. He looks intense but funny at the same time. And they're upping up the game with this trailer. They're introducing more people to it. They're bringing a lot more characters into it, making them more heroes. And it looks like they're upping the game as well, as the police are trying to cut down on vigilantes, which would happen in real life. And Hit Girl is also, she looks fucking awesome. She looks badass as hell, and I love that. Also, the main villain looks awesome. He's calling himself the Motherfucker, and he's dressed as a gimp. I'll leave it at that. He's dressed as either a gimp or a male dominatrix. Which, I was like, oh god. Funny, it looks funny. I really do hope this one doesn't suck, but definitely check it out if you can. Okay, the next two stories I'm going to talk about the first one in a different order. I was going to talk about the EA CEO resigning, but I'll move on to the story below, because I want to save the EA CEO from resigning to the end. But this is an article I got today, actually, and it's the new Xbox, which is, I think the codename's Durango or something, is going to have some kind of feature known as, I think, I've got the article up here, no I don't, two balls, I think I copied the wrong title. It's going to have a always on, always connected feature, which basically they have described in the article. Now, apparently this is from reliable sources. As I said, I'm not going. I don't know if it looks like it's been confirmed, but it could be a rumor as well. It could be a red herring. I don't know, but I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's something I really think I need to talk about. Apparently the next generation Xbox is always going to be on in some way, shape or form, as in powered on. When you switch it off, it's going to be drawing minimum electrical power to stay on in a sense, but always stay connected. And basically kind of sounding very similar to the PS4 with that mentality, like you can turn it on and off and it's always downloading shit and that. And they're basically saying that it's always going to be connected as well. Like if you've got it on, it's going to be connected, but as long as even when you've got it off, it's still going to be connected so it can download the latest updates, patches, and all of that. I think that's what they're trying to go for. Now, for the idea of always on, I like that idea of the basically the console being like kind of a standby mode, but that can have a lot of problems with it as well. And I like the idea of that, like, it downloads the patches and all. Like, let's face it, one bad thing about being a console gamer is the patches that fucking get downloaded and you're like, fuck off, I'm done. Because some of the patches take forever to download and it's a pain in the arse. But I like that idea, but the only thing I don't like is this idea of always connected. That really leads more to the way of that the next Xbox is always going to have to be online, which I really don't like that idea. If I don't want to be online, I should have the option of not wanting to be online. I don't like that idea, and it really is a thing. Like, if it's always online, I'm fuck the next generation console. I'm going PC all the way. I hate to say that, but it really does not. I don't like that sound of that. But I do like the idea that the console will download stuff even when it's off. I do like that. I know, like the PS4. The PS4, the thing that turned me off a little bit about it is the fact that it's going to download games that it thinks I like because we're predictable bastards. I'm not fucking predictable. Admittedly, you look at my gaming collection, I've got okay, I'm kind of predictable, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't like that. I don't like the fact I've got to download shit onto my computer or my console without asking me first. If I don't want to download Journey 2, this is actually a game and not an art project, I don't want that shit on my computer. Take it off. Don't put it on. I don't want that. Fuck off. I don't like that. I really don't like that idea that it's got as patches and for games and demo for games in the console. I'm completely fine with. I just don't want it to download shit that I don't want it to download. I'm just saying that. But the always on, always connected thing, I kind of like my Xbox is always probably going to be connected to the internet because to keep up to date, check bounds. That's going to be me. But if I want to turn off the internet on my Xbox, I want to turn it off, and I'm going to turn it off. And I really don't like that idea. Sorry, I don't. But the idea of always being on, downloading patches even when it's off, is okay. Problem is, you're going to suffer for your electric bill, because even though it's drawing a little bit of power, that's going to add up over time. And if you get a power outage, fuck, you're screwed. No, I'm kidding. Do beg my pardon. I like that. I kind of like the idea, but I hate the idea as well, especially if it's always going to be connected. So, yeah. And the final piece of news I want to talk about is the EA CEO... John Riccitiello, I believe his name is how it's pronounced, has announced that he will be resigning at the end of this month. Well, he didn't announce it. The letter that he sent to everyone was leaked. Or someone went, okay, get that on the internet ASAP. Has announced that he is resigning, and this is the guy who had a couple of choice things to say. Like, he's a very advocate for, like, the Simcity thing. He was one of the head ones behind saying it's always going to be online. Oops, shit, sorry. And I happily admit my initial reaction was, celebrate good times, come on! That was my reaction. I even tweeted about it. But speaking now, follow me on Twitter, AskGhostWNA2. I'm kidding, I had to do that. But yeah, I literally celebrated because I hate this guy. Like, this guy literally is one of the reasons I hate publishers, because he literally, everything he said, it kind of made me want to punch him in the fucking face. He was one of also the ones behind the advocate behind the Star Wars The Old Republic being an MMO and not a standalone game. He was one that very prompted that, and that was a fail. It ended up going free to play, which no surprise. So he was fucking over the company, apparently. Not fucking over the company, he was making really bad decisions. And I literally celebrated, but I celebrated too early, unfortunately, because even though he's gone, he wasn't the only one that was behind the idea of all this stupid always online, always multiplayer, not publishing new titles. Because he was behind a couple of things like Mirror's Edge and Dead Space being greenlit. He was behind that, apparently. So he did do some good stuff, apparently. The new CEO I don't care about. I just hope that the new CEO, whoever it is, even though he won't have he doesn't have, like, he isn't like god of the company, goes, make this game, make that game, make that game, make that game, you're fired, make that game, no more DRMs. No, there won't be a CEO like that. It's the board of directors and all that who decide all that shit, and the CEO just goes, yeah, I'll do it, things like that. And as I say, whoever it ends up being, I hope that they at least do a better job. But I love celebrating, and I hope that EA kind of see the light of this. This is the main reason I hate EA, is because they just ruin games most of the time. While they publish some really great games, as I say, they don't publish, well, they do publish bad games, but they are smart with their money. They've got BioWare. They've got Dead Space. They've got a few other games. They've got the companies, the developers that make them, and they publish them. They make fucking a shit ton of money. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna say they're dumb. They're smart from a business standpoint. But I do hope that they learn from this, and maybe if a new CEO comes along the way, he'll maybe enlighten them. And hopefully it's someone who understands the gaming industry and maybe the gamers as a mentality. I do hope that comes along, and maybe he'll be able to whisper in their ear and maybe change a few things. But I don't give two shits as long as it's better than John Riccatello. But yeah, I hope that EA... I don't want to hate EA. I honestly don't. I do not want to. I say I fucking hate publishers. I don't. But they give me plenty of fuel for the fucking fire for me to go, I fucking hate them. But hopefully a new CEO does mean that the business might change a little bit, and maybe it'll open up to more games being published, more new IPs, maybe less DRM, and maybe, of course, not forcing multiplayer where it should not fucking be. Mass Effect. We've beaten that again with a fucking dead tiger. But yeah, I hope that I don't want to be EA go under, because they go under, a lot of developers go under. But I do hope that the new CEO, whoever it is, does a good job. That's my opinion. So I think that's all I've got to say about this installment of the Warriors Geeky News. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was entertaining enough for you. I hope it informed you of nice some stuff. And the next installment will now be a bi-weekly thing. I'm going to make one every 2 weeks or every week, depending on what news flow there is coming out. And with PAX East coming up, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Before everyone asks, no, I'm not going to PAX East. I can't fucking afford that. It's fucking expensive to go to Boston. I wish I was going, but I'm not. But if there are any news stories that come out from PAX East or any other kind of geeky news that you want to talk about, movies, games, or TV, movies, games, comic books, whatever, if you want me to check it out, please don't hesitate to send me a link to the article you wish for me to talk about, and you might get lucky and you'll get it in the next installment of the Warriors Geeky News. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I'm Scottish Warrior 92. I'll see you all later. Ciao for now.